Hoi hoi! How's it going, everybody? Hi, Artie. Hi, Lovezick. Hi. Hoi. How's it going? How's it going? Hi, hi. Hoi hoi. 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 Let me find my buttons quick. There's a whole segment to this. Okay. And then. Hi. It's going good. Weather is cloudy today, but that means cozy cold weather for me finally. Oh. It actually got super cold here. Like freezing temps. And I've been really cold, but I got like a long sleeve. What's it calls it? Shirt? Yeah, let's go with shirt. Cruising. We cruising. Hope you're being well, Antado. Hello, hi. 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 No eyelash this time. Yeah, we usually get the eyelash, Tom. Oh, he's just dangling there. Hold on, Tom. Hope you guys had a good week. Up to this point. Yeah, like 80% time, that's a fair estimate. Something like that. It's usually the eyelash one. Doing good, how are you? I'm good as well, Antado. I've been pretty hyped about today's stream and also a little nervous. Because I'm not a professional game developer. I only know a little bit. So this is kind of like I'm exposing my coding balls here. Well, not coding today, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. You don't even know how to code at all. It's weird. The most coding languages have the basic same principles for the most part, so it's not too difficult to jump from one language to another, thankfully. I say as I've pretty much only coded in one language. I think I did some JavaScript in a video game though. Let me turn that down a little. But I do like coding in C# a lot. That's what I've been like doing for some years now. So I know basic principles. I might have to like refer to Google for certain things, like for example, say I wanted to code like an inventory system, I would probably Google how you would do that. I would look at the responses and I would just get the gist of like an idea how people do it, and then I would implement my own, if that makes sense. Because I kind of like doing it on my own, but I want to see like how people tackle it, if that makes sense. You know? You only ever used Game Maker and RPG Maker script. Oh yeah. I think one of the RPG makers used, was it Ruby as scripting language? This was before I knew coding, so it was like wild going into that, because I just don't understand any of that. But then, they still do use Ruby? Okay. I guess if they use that once, they might as well stick to it, probably. Even with newer engines. But yeah. Today we're gonna be coming up with a concept for a small game I can make on stream. And I say small, so it's not gonna be This one is not going to be even a multiplayer. I know there are solutions you can implement to make that happen, but this is I don't even plan on selling this. I'll just put it out for free if I can manage to finish it. This is just a little like I wanna do this and test myself. You know, like that's the goal here. But we will be using Unity Engine, C#. Oh shit! I forgot to install Visual Studio. We'll see if we can make it to coding stage today or not. What else? For graphics, I'm going to be using either, depending what kind of game we're going to make, but it's going to be either Blender if it's 3D, or Aseprite for pixel art. Or I can also use both of them, depending. Depending, of course. I would also use Clip Studio for certain like things, but I don't have it installed on this PC, so maybe in the future we'll see. We might be good with just our Aseprite as well, because that does let me transport alpha and stuff. So we might be fine with just that. Now my issue is this. When I was setting up the stream and I was picking up, so the music only shows up on Twitch side because of copyright, right? But, and only in the live, not on the VODs. My issue is this, while picking up music to play in the background, I realized the music itself affects me greatly. You know, like the music sets a mood for my mind, and my mind tends to, like, if I tried finding like a chill Nintendo song, like playlist, and then I realized, this is kind of guiding my brain too much. Does it distract you? No, but it limits me to that specific style that fits that music, you know? So if I'm listening to like a chill Nintendo song, for example, I can't come up with like a Doom style gameplay, you know? For example, you know, like high core action game doesn't really fit that chill vibe. So I don't, my plan is we might tone the music down in just a little bit. And this phase we're gonna focus on the concept. Once we nail down the concept of what we're gonna be making, then I can play that specific style of music that fits that, and it's just gonna keep my brain in the same, like, you know, mood, mindset. That's my plan, at least. That being said, I've been trying to come up with different kind of concepts and ideas I could be doing the whole week prior to this, and with varying success. So if you guys have anything, like any ideas you want to throw in here, feel free to. This is like an open brainstorm session. I will switch the screen in just a bit to the other screen where I have my Aseprite, and I also have a different kind of notepad program called Calmly Writer, where I can, you know, take notes and stuff, because I don't type well with mouse. Usually can't think of stuff depending on the genre. We have to make some limitations though, so it has to be single player and small-ish scale at least. It doesn't have to be the tiniest game in the world, but it can't be, you know, like crazy. Hi Katsuya. How we doing? We're doing pretty good. How's it going? Hi. We have just started the stream. We're trying to come up, or we're about to start brainstorming some kind of game concept we could start working on. Okay, let me move this screen there, and this one too. Okay, now if I change my screen, you should see Aseprite. Bam. And my calmly writer. Let's try with this music for just a bit. I'll just tone it down a little bit. I am a sucker for like synthwave and stuff, you know, like, so it wouldn't be too far-fetched for me to make some kind of synthwave type game. But let's see. Okay, give me a sec. I'm gonna change my monitor. Okay. Here's my little pre-written just to test this program out. Gameplay loop. Right. Start level. Swing sword. Get loot. Awoo 56709. Die and lose everything. Repeat. That's my mock-up gameplay loop. And I think it's pretty swell, right? Swing sword, get loot. Sounds like a Souls game. It does. Especially this step 5 here. Maybe a little bit of step 4 too. Depending on the game, of course. Anything that has wolves, you go, awoo. Awoo. Anyway. Let's see if I remember how to use this. So this program nicely gives you like a new number anytime you do that. Even if I want to like reinsert another one here, bam. It reorders the rest of the points. It's a pretty nice feature. I tend to use these dividing lines. I'll just leave that as there. This is pretty scalable too. You can make different headlines, so I can be like, wait, headline, and then you can turn that into a headline. I suppose this font specifically doesn't support bold. Oh no, it does. Okay, never mind. Will it be a 3D game? I can do either 3D, 2D with pixel art, or some kind of in between. So it would be a 3D space with pixel art. Kind of like in the same style as, say, Bravely Default. That could also work. Anyway, let's type limitations, because these are the ones. Limitations, maybe more like guidelines. Guidelines. Did I put a dot there? Yeah. Yeah. Octopath Traveler. Was that the full name of it? I just keep calling it Octopath. It's a game I have yet to play, but I've seen a lot of it, and I know RD really likes that game. Comes highly recommended. That's the one you mean. What did I say? Bravely Default. Right. Wait, those are separate games. My brain. You're right, you're right. Octopath Traveler is the one that's like 3D into 2D in 3D. Right. Okay, thank you for the correction. Okay, so Let's type small-ish in scale. It's going to be one guideline. Can I control? I can control zoom in. Perfect. That's the first one. Then second one is going to be, because I guess I could go like 3D slash 2D slash let's just call it 2.5D. Does that make sense? Because I can use either Blender or Aseprite. Genre, I don't really have a preference for this. I like so many types of games, but let's see, is there like any, I guess it would be gameplay first. Because this is just a gameplay game. It's not necessarily like a story-driven game or nothing. Let's say gameplay focus instead. These are the guidelines. Fourth one. Kind of other things do we need? I guess I should clarify and say this is going to be a single player specifically. Yeah, I think those are pretty much the guidelines. So I'm trying to think if there's any other guidelines. Let's keep it within those. I'll just use these dashes because they give a bigger line space here. But we could, okay, this is where we could just like throw random concepts. If you guys also have any concept ideas, feel free to throw them in. I can type them here and I can either expand on one idea or even like take parts from some of them and just try to mix them. Because some of the games I had in mind would be some kind how would I type this? These are not going to be like any official terms, but it's going to be like menu focused game. This would be a game in the sense of like well, I guess idle games or puzzle games, something that where you don't control a character. It's more like menu and maybe UI focused game. Maybe that's a better term. UI focused game. That's an option. Yeah, point and click also. That's kind of in between because it is still a UI focused game, but at the same time, well, I guess there are many types of point and clicks, but the ones I usually see is you click something and that's where your character walks to. So it's kind of like an in between. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. For another, this isn't like a style. This is more like a concept I had in mind, and this would be some kind. I know this word gets thrown around a lot, but extraction. Type. Extraction type game. If you know, you've probably seen a lot of these games where it's like you drop in with whatever you choose, you try to find more stuff, and then you extract out. But I haven't seen it done too much in a single player or PvE focused game anyway. There are some, of course, but that's an idea that like intrigues me a little bit, both because of an inventory system, which I've always wanted to try my hand at, and I think the gameplay loop is pretty solid on its own. But these don't have to be like any pre-existing games. of course. Another one I was thinking could be, this might be a UI focused game as well, but something that has something to do with RNG in a way that you can affect the RNG. Oh, think of like, hold on, what's that one game called where you're against the buckshot roulette. So in that game, you're against the dealer and you take turns firing a shotgun, right? And there's different types of items you can like see which is it, like the next shell, a blank or a live one. Like there's all kinds of these items that affect your RNG, and I like the idea of that. And I wonder if there's something we could do with that. But that's not only like a tiny health concept. RNG affecting items? I don't know. Yeah, there's stuff like you can see the current shell, skip opponent's turn, heal, steal item from opponent. Yeah. I kind of like that idea because it reduces the percentage. You know, it's still like a gamble game though, but you know, should it just be like RNG affecting gamble? RNG manipulating. There you go. RNG manipulating gamble. That sounds like a shit show. Another one that I kind of like the idea of is, this is me, but I like fantasy type games. So I was thinking some kind of like, I don't know if I should type miniature, but it's like I could make tiny little sprite fantasy characters, like different classes like mages and knights and archers, and then I could put them in a little tiny dungeon where they can like do stuff. I guess that would be some kind of like fantasy dungeon. Sprites. Let's just call it sprites. One idea I keep thinking of is just a roguelike dungeon crawler thing. Roguelike. Kinda in the sense of same style as, what is that one game called? Heroes of Hammerwatch, if you remember that. Where you go inside a dungeon and you go as far as you can. And then you can try to go further and further each time. Yeah, smaller scale. I think I know what you mean by that though. Binding of Isaac as well. Yeah. Yeah. Now that wouldn't be too hard to do. In a sense that it could just be a little cutesy sprite character. I keep thinking I might wanna do that not in a full 2D, but rather in a 2.5D where it's like, you know, like possibly even some 3D environments. But then the characters and enemies and like all the sprites are just like pixel art 2D flats, and you could use that mixture. I wonder if I can, if a sprite is, can I affect the sprite with the lighting in Unity? I bet there's ways of doing that. So if you like were to walk next to a torch, it could like lit up your character. I bet there's like some kinds of ways of doing that. Because I think that would be a cool detail. But this, like some extra stuff. I am a sucker for detail though, so that's how Octopath Traveler uses their lighting. Oh, okay. Wait, also this stream, I think I can have the chat up here. Give me a sec. Oh, it just speed scrolled all that. Is it gonna be too confusing up there? No. Hello, YouTube. Eat. Hello, Twitch. Nice. Bum, 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 bum. Okay. So. It could be something totally else too. I keep thinking like, well, mainly because the playlist I have on Twitch, but I keep thinking of some kind of like synthwave, although that would be like maybe more artistic than gameplay. I mean, it could be both, but it would require a little bit more, because if it's how do I put this? Like how synth and like cyberpunk style has that, like neon lights and it's very lighting based. Whereas like say a fantasy dungeon, while light is important, there aren't like any emitting lights. It's usually torches or like crystals or some kind of like light source like that, so it's like more minimal. And you don't have to make it pitch black to begin with, like you could just have a ambient light everywhere. Although it would be super cool if I could just make light being like, light could be like a, how do I put this? If light could be a thing you use. Right. Is it too confusing that these are all here? Because these are like different types of concepts. Maybe I should clarify that. Different concepts. Ba-dum. It would be cool to make that same dungeon crawler, but whatever character you pick is based on setting and affects the map sprite. Oh. That's an interesting idea. Although what's the what's the difference between fantasy and medieval? Or do you mean like just the two different timelines? I kind of like the idea of that. Oh, right. I mean, right. Medieval is just the, actual like medieval period, but fantasy is the magic added on top and what have you. And the mythos as well. Yeah. Fantasy is more colorful and something like medieval but darker. So by fantasy, I'm assuming you mean more like a, well, I'm generalizing here, but kind of like a JRPG, more like. While medieval would be the dark fantasy or Western fantasy. I'm guessing. My idea here is, just based off of that, what you said is, what if, what if you play as a, you know, like cyberpunk synth futuristic, kind of like Mad Max type road warrior, but then you travel back in time and now you're in this like medieval dungeon and you're blasting your future shotguns and whatnot. But then they could also send, like, you would have these classic fantasy enemies, but then they could also send like enemies from the future after you. Like if you, well, like for example, if you like escaped from there, then they could send some enemies after you. That would be kind of interesting. Just blasting a medieval dungeon with your futuristic shotgun. I don't know. Then again, the opposite would also be interesting. You're this like medieval knight sent to the future. My brain's trying to rack this up. So it could also be a setting where you are like, you play as the knight, but you get sent to the future and you come back with, you're like, you're still knight, but you're this like cyberpunk knight. And now you're just wrecking havoc in the dungeons with your like cyber blades and shit. Or something. I don't know. Skeletons are in shambles. Exactly. I don't know. It's an interesting idea. A cyber knight. I could call the project Cyber Knight. And you're just driving your car. You know, like Glintstone or Soulstone from Scrying that, but with more tech. Ooh, right. That could be an interesting idea. What if we explore that more? That's different concept. Let me see how I could do this. Let's just separate these. This would be, let's call it Cyber Knight. Or Knight, because Knight is the sequel. I'm not thinking ahead of myself here at all. Let's see. Play as a fantasy knight who gets, I can't type, sent to the future, to the cyberpunk slash. I like using the synth because this kind of sets the setting for me more. You know, like there's a specific setting I'm looking for, so I'm using that. As a fantasy knight who gets sent to the cyberpunk synth future. Wait, how do I word this? To get geared up. And then okay, there's many ways you could do that. Like Artie said, you could just fight your way back to the past, or it could be both. What if you're a knight lost in time, so you don't know where you even belong anymore? You're jumping. Just hit a button on your controller and it just switches to the future version of the map. No, that's a lot of work. That's too much work. That's too much work. Let me see. I guess this could be more of an action type game where it wouldn't be like heavy on loot or nothing. It would be more like action type. So it's just fun to play, I'm hoping. More focus on that, you know, like using your blade and possibly some kind of range weapon, I guess. What do you do there? You fight with your sword and I don't think he needs a shield. It wouldn't be like blocking. You know, like a lot of games nowadays to go for the parry mechanic, but that's pretty fun. But I'll see. Like you can do that in many ways. You can have some kind of like reactive. It could be also like multiple different types of enemies. You would have to just move. You know, like they would have hit indicators, and you would have to move away from those. I guess you could also use magic spells, because that would be on par with the whole fantasy setting. Fight with your sword. Let's just say bow/gun and magic. These would be like I guess you wouldn't be a full wizard. It would be like a predetermined character that just no spells. So it's like how you mix and match these up, probably keeping it kind of like relatively easy. For the most part. Knight finds a portal, gets sent to the past, fights final boss, wizard or something. Phase 2 techno wizard from some future shit. Or something. Tutorial is this you going through the dungeon and the wizard warlock gets, you defeat them, but then they get sent to the future and you go after them. Unless that's like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm thinking ahead of myself. I'm planning on working this for quite a while, so we'll see where we can take this. Bonks your head with his mighty crystal ball staff. Bonk. Another possibility is need more space. We don't need those concepts. Another possible idea here is currently I'm picturing it as like a top down, but it could also be, here's something I've been also pondering in my head, is it could be a first person, but the animations of like your swings and all that would be pixel drawn animations on top, if that would make sense. Although it might make it a little difficult to see where you're hitting. Maybe Doom style? Yes. Kind of like Doom style, yeah. That's like another concept. That then you could just do like some crazy fast like mouse keyboard movement or controller. It wouldn't be a Souls-like camera, so it wouldn't be an over-the-shoulder locking on enemy. Making a Souls-like game is very difficult. So this would be a toned down, so it would be either a top-down, even a side-scroller if need be. But then again, I don't know how I would use. I guess there's a way of making 3D work in a side-scroller. But anyway, top-down side-scroller or FPS, I think, are my options here. There's a game called Fight Night that does something like that, but you're just punching dudes. Ooh. Okay. What would be the easiest? I think they all come with their own problems, but I would probably say top down. That might be the easiest. If it's a side scroller with depth, then that becomes a little tricky because you do have to know the depth of attacks too. Especially if you do it in 2.5D. Let's type our options. Top down slash side scroll slash, I'll just type it like this, first person. Those would be probably the ones I would focus on. You could always make this like a indirect combat sort of, where it's like you're not directly controlling your character. It's instead like a menu, like the older Final Fantasies, or some dungeon crawlers do that, where your party is just like you see through their. I mean, I guess they're kind of first person. I don't know. No, that's still kind of like the Final Fantasy type, you know, like choose attack. But I feel like I want to do it a little more action-y than being like a turn-based, for example. I do like turn-based games too, but don't get me wrong. Okay, I like the idea of this so far. Right. Now let's try defining a gameplay loop. Gameplay loop. What do? I guess it could be like a level based. Is it a story based? Maybe it's a level based. Story based is like, even though I'm not against the level one, like a story based one, but that makes it a little difficult. I guess it's like just missions or levels you select and you can replay them too. Kind of like how Neo did it, so that wouldn't be a problem. I've seen games do that. So let's go like level. Let's start from that. Choose level. And then you enter. I'm guessing. Let's ignore some like minor details here first. And let's assume you load in with your whatever you have, if you can even change your loadout or abilities or anything. Let's assume you can't at this point. You load in. Your goal there is, well, basically beat the level, go from point A to point B. I guess defeating a stronger enemy of that level, probably. Or maybe not all. I mean, I could potentially add more levels if okay, there's a couple of considerations here. I can make each level RNG based, so it gets generated, or I could have them pre-made. Every level would be pre-made. This lets me customize them even more, but it needs more work from my part, which I guess I don't really mind. It's just making them like more unique is the problem. RNG is good because you can just have like infinite variations and replayability sort of on that. But there's some really cool stuff you can do with like predetermined levels too. like enemy placements and creating something really unique. I'm thinking you might have to just beat a gauntlet on any given level. And that gauntlet could be either a boss or a group of enemies or wave or something. Just like I'll say gauntlet because it's like a tougher fight at the end you have to beat. Okay, so let's say, what do you do next? You fight your way to the gauntlet. Let's call it that. Fight your way to the gauntlet. Can I don't remember if I can color words in this program, but I can make it cursive like that. Fight your way to the gauntlet. Once you defeat that, what do you get? Do you get anything from it? Because if not, that's basically the loop. Choose a level, fight your way to the gauntlet. Then you beat a level. Repeat. I think some kind of rewards would be nice. There's different ways you can do this part. Like, I know some games do different things, like I think Devil May Cry gives you like points or currency that you can use to buy more moves, etc., etc. Yeah, like you can unlock new equipment, magic, or whatnot. I don't know if there's a point in this game for money, unless like that's just the currency you get to upgrade your stuff. Let's add another one here. Defeat enemies to gain. Let's just say currency. I don't know what that is yet, but that's what you're doing. Defeat enemies to gain currency. Fight your way to the gauntlet. Let's just say reach and defeat the gauntlet. Hi Eves, how's it going? Wee. They give you what they call red orbs. You buy abilities and new movesets. Right. Basically, there's currency, right? You get currency that you use to buy new or unlock new stuff. I'm back after a long time. Welcome back, Eves. I hopes you've been good. Let me see. Does this work now? Choose level, defeat enemies to gain currency, reach and defeat the gauntlet. Do you only get to keep your currency? I mean, depends how if it. I mean, I guess the calls it the roguelike was a previous idea. I guess maybe if you die, you can only keep a certain amount of it. Reach and defeat the gauntlet, and then use. Oh, that's already cursive. Hold on. Uncursive that. Use currency to unlock stuff. Stuff. Repeat. Is that the loop? No, you're fine, Eves. Don't worry about it. You're good. You're good. We're planning a concept for a game I could make on stream today. We're actually doing great progress already. So you go in, you use your sword, magic, bow, gun, gunbow. Yeah, I think this is going pretty well for our brainstorm. Can I make this a little bigger? Dot, 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 dot. There you go. A FNAF mod grid. Oh, in the background, this is my Aseprite. So, whoops, sorry. I can just doodle here if need be. Oh, oh, oh. That looks like a graffiti. Like a silly graffiti from a video game. Anyway. Wait, hold on. My playlist end? Okay. There we go. I think this works for the most part. It's just basically an, if I can make the action fun, then this, like, that's just gonna be the main point of this. You just do more and more and more. And I suppose I could, like, I forgot what the term is called, but there's like, you can when you introduce new types of enemies one by one. So like, introduce new enemies isolated. So the first time you encounter this enemy is going to be isolated and you can learn it. And then you're just going to start throwing different mixtures and combinations of enemies. Isolated learning, something like that. Neo was great at this, actually. Neo is still one of my favorite games. Okay, Eves, no problem. Especially beat 'em ups and character action games. I think a lot of character action games do that as well. I can't speak for beat 'em ups because I haven't played too many of those types of games. But I'll take your word for it, Artie. Da-da. Oh yeah, in Wonderful 101. Yeah. I remember. When you streamed that, they really did like introduce each enemy one by one, and then they just throw you combinations. I love that. The smart way to teach how to fight an enemy. I guess before I start coding any of this, I should. So this is the concept. This seems to work. I will now. Let's see. Do we need any of these combined into this? I guess we don't need the sprites one. It's not an extraction type game. It's just beta. It's not a UI. RNG manipulating gambling stuff? No. I think, yeah, this hits all of these. And then here's my little mock-up. Let me get rid of those extra lines. Ta-da, ta-da. Hey, does this still match this? Start levels, swing sword. I guess get loot is kid currency. Awu 56709. Then lose everything, repeat. Then lose half of your everything. Okay, so this mock-up still kinda applies. Interestingly. Right. The worst part is that the hard difficulty swaps enemy spawns, so you end up fighting some near endgame enemies in like level 1. I feel like that's a game where you're gonna have a really bad time playing you know, hard difficulty as your first. Was that a Platinum Games? It might be. You have to beat it first. Okay. Well, that's fine then. That's fine. You already know how to beat them at that point. Right, it's a okay, so Platinum Games really likes to make their games, I think, with the hardest difficulty first. Was it like something like that? And then they make the easier difficulty, so they tone that base difficulty down. I think that's interesting. Right, you also need the abilities in that game. Yeah, I remember. Ugh. Wait. But their abilities don't carry over when you start a hard one, huh? Huh. Oh, they carry over. Okay. Gotcha. I was like, how are you supposed to beat them then? Right. Right, it's just a New Game Plus. Okay, I see. Traditional New Game Plus. What do we need for this one now? I guess the most important is your character. So what can you do, basically? I think that's the next question. We have the loop. You go in, you defeat enemies, you gain currency. You reach the gauntlet at the end. And then you get currency to unlock more stuff. Repeat on a new, or is that the same level if you want to do that? So I guess this would be, let's just call it night mechanics. I like using these number ones here because they have a better spacing, more tighter spacing, I should say. Let's leave one space here. More there. How simple do we want our night? Not too simple. It's not going to be just one button. Also, this is an interesting part. Now we would have to choose if it's a top-down side scroll or first person. I'm not going to have a game where you can switch between them. You could do that, but it's not the scope of this game. So, let me see. I'm leaning more towards top-down or first person, and probably top-down. I see you choose this and you're making it. Hey, I appreciate the ideas. That's the true brainstorm session when you just get your ideas in. Let's see if it's, let's picture this. If it's a top-down, you have the gun. There's many ways you could do this. It could be a twin stick where your mouse, like if you're using keyboard mouse, you could have your mouse be wherever your character is pointing. But it's also relatively easy to do a twin stick with just controller as well. It's not as precise further up. It's as, I guess it's as precise as you can be with the analog stick. But yeah. That could make an interesting thing where you can just shoot your bow or gun further away. Whichever it is. You're ranged, basically. Same with magic. So we need Okay, let's take the side scroll out for now, because I think out of these two, it would be a pretty split choice. Top down is, like I said, could be a twin stick. That way you can target your magic and bow range ammo better. First person, it would be where you look. But here's the thing. First person, you would need... I wonder if I would need a... I might not need a full rigid body. I guess it... rigid body is like a physics-based thing in Unity. It's just like, if I use a rigid body, that means I'm moving the character with physics, and I think it's generally what you want to use if you want to do collisions in that regular collision check way. But top down, if I do 2.5, I'm going to need that anyway. Also, I'm thinking, even though the character would be flat if it's a sprite, I could add a shadow below the character, so you can always see where you are, basically. Yeah, it's very doable with both. That's the problem. I might lean more towards the top down, honestly. Yeah. Let's log into top down. That's going to make it easier to now come up with the control mechanisms. Can you make cooking like a part of it? Like if you make pizza, you get upgrades that way? I could make a little cooking minigame, probably. That's an interesting idea. I wonder how I could include that. There's a couple of ways you could introduce something like that. Like, if you want to be able to cook anywhere, I guess you would need some kind of, like a roast. You can just plunk down like Monster Hunter and cook it. But the question becomes, would you have like items that you need to pick up, like defeat enemies and you pick up their meat and you can cook that? Would that be an interesting healing mechanism? You defeat like a goblin and you get like a goblin drumstick, and then you just slam that, like you sit down and slam that onto the what do you call those rotating thingies, and you start roasting one. Slap that in the oven, or an oven. If he comes from the future, he could slap down a microwave and shove the goblin drumstick inside that. Yeah, spit roast. Yeah, that's it. But he could slam that, like shove that in a microwave, and then see it barely move and being squished against the glass, or the panel, the window, and then ding, all done. Yeah, he just bonks the top. Gauntlet fist. Is that it? Gauntlet? Is that your glove? Throwing down the gauntlet. Yeah. Gauntlet fist going down on the microwave. I don't know. I like that idea though. I wonder if that could be a super quick and fun way to heal. Like, so you would have to stop and do a super quick like roast of meat. And you would only have as many healing items as there are enemies on the map. So that would be your limitations too. I don't know. We'll have to brainstorm that. I'll write it down in just a little segment here, because I should make one for let's say let's just call it ideas. Cooking enemies. Yeah, there we go. It could have a random animation, if anything. The same duration is important. Knight rotates the spit roach handle 2-3 times and then lifts it up the meat and eats it. I see the eating as, you know, like holds it up and then his mouth goes like cartoonishly large as it's just chunk, you know, eats the whole thing. Then a little, if he, I don't know what he looks like yet, but if he has like a helmet, maybe a little tongue goes like, you know, slurping all that. Anyway. Here's my thing. This is, you don't have to type all of these. Some of these are like obvious, but I'll just say movement. And this is only going to be X and Y. I mean, let's just say X and Z. There's no upward movement. But this is a 2.5D, so I have to use X and Z and not X and Y. Although, depends. If I'm strictly talking about just reading the input of the player, then it would be X and Y because it's a vector too. The microwave screen door is lit yellow, but the microwave bounces and tilts left, back down. Ooh! Tilts left, back down, then bounces up and tilts right, then back down and foot down. Bing! It's a really cute idea, actually. I can picture that in my head. There won't be jump in this game, I think. This isn't going to be a platforming game. This is going to be mostly on flat levels. Although I keep thinking, what if there is a jump, but it's not like a physical jump? It's more like an animation and also a state for the character. So the hitbox isn't moving up. It's more like you're activating a jump stance or like a status. Jump state. And then you could probably use that jump state to avoid certain attacks. That could be fun. But I don't know if people would abuse that. Like, if there's like, let's say for example, if I have like hit indicators, so the ground would start like rumbling, and maybe like spikes would come up. If you time your jump right, you could still stand inside that area, but you would just dodge them by jumping up, you know? And your character would do a jump. Your hitbox wouldn't move, but it's just a state. So you would dodge that. But I don't know if would that be fun? I guess if it gets... the problem with that is if there's multiple different like hit indicators on top of each other, you can't really tell which one it is, and you can't just spam... I mean, you can spam jump, but it's gonna catch you during one, like, your landing. I don't know if I want to have that. Let's do it without first. I need some kind of a dash because I need some speed. And this is like a short, let's say dash burst. I don't think there's going to be sprint because you're just going to move relatively fast to begin with. And if you want to like go even faster, just keep dashing, I think. Then we would have... Could I like space? Maybe I should like space them like this. So, oh god. Let's leave that empty and then one. No, I want, no, I... Okay, there we go. Okay, now if I go test. Okay, now they're separate. This is gonna be the combat stuff on this segment. So this, I guess your character would have... Do you have combos? Let me think. This feels like a twin stick, so you're using like your stick to aim at far away enemies, and then you're just gonna, I'm guessing you're gonna have one melee attack probably. How much can you do with the mouse and keyboard? Controller is more buttons, but let me try to picture this. So you're using like your mouse, you're like here, right? This is your little character. And let's say there's like an enemy there. Got little devil horns. What shows up well on stream? Hold on. Shift, and I'm gonna make a background layer. Maybe this is gonna be easier on your eyes too. Anyway, you would basically be like aiming here. And I guess you could like shoot whatever you have like towards there. So right, we need to be able to, let's call it A for attack, that's melee. You should be able to R for range, that's bow or gun, and then you should be able to do magic, so arm. Arm yourself. Swipe weapon left. Oh, I mean, yeah, that can be like swipe, 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 swipe. You know, like that. I guess if you swipe, you would have to be careful of like, maybe there's some enemy type that's just like walks up to you, right? So you gotta like pace yourself and be careful they don't like get too close to you. They probably have their own swings too. I guess they could also like, some of them could wear like a shield or something. Which could probably block some like some damage from spells and probably just cancel arrows probably, or deflect maybe, I don't know. Reflect? Deflect? But would you unlock any like other melee type attacks? I guess one melee attack is kind of like, is it called a stinger in action games, where you like dash forward with your like a stab type. Kind of like a move. Just to catch people. Oh yeah, stinger originates from DMC, but I think a lot of people call it that still. Gap closer is the concept, right? So we do have dash, but I guess that would be the gap closer. I don't know how far it would go. Maybe it's like an upgradable thing, but basically it would do like a, I'm guessing like a point attack, like a dash, and then once you get there, you could do a like follow with a swipe if you were to do that. Forward thrusting attack that closes the gap between the player and enemy. Yeah. I don't know how difficult this would be on a controller, but I can definitely enable both control types, because Unity has a really good feature where you can just do that. So we would have regular, I guess. Right. Let's go back to this one and type attack swing. I'll put parentheses 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. How would we initiate it? You ask. I suppose it could be tied to the dash burst as well. Also, I'm not this isn't gonna be a Souls-like, but I keep wondering if I should limit the dash to some kind of like meter or charges or something. Like, for example, your classic stamina bar, but your attacks wouldn't use that. Dash cooldown. I think that's the easiest way to implement it. I think you're right, Artie. Dash burst. Let's put parentheses. Oops, that's not a parentheses. CD. So it's gonna have a cooldown. Maybe you can affect the cooldown, upgrades, whatnot. Maybe eventually you will have no cooldown and it's just gonna be like an insano mode. Why limit the player? In the end, you gotta get there though. Let's see. Attack swing. I guess, yeah, I'll gap closer. Attack. Dash. I think this would have the same cooldown as the dash. Thrust. And then share dash cooldown. I'll take the attack word out. Gap closer. Thrust. Share dash. Or could I fit ATK? Almost. Maybe I don't need to share. Just dash CD. Bam. You could do like different equipment can affect stats, maybe like a charm that can reduce dash cooldown, but another charm would make attack swings bigger but slower. Like a modifier type. I kind of like that. Maybe those are something you can also buy with the. Let me type it here so I don't forget it. Like let's say move modifying items. Hey Linux. How's it going? You see a game there? Yeah. I mean, kinda. How's it going? I'm no professional, but I have dabbled with C# and stuff, so I have actually decided to try and make a game live on stream. I mean, over a great length of period. It's not like a month like a project I can do in a month or nothing. But yeah, how's it going? You are a professional, so if you need any help, I'm glad to help you. Oh my god, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I might take up that offer. Thanks, Renako, for recommending your stream. Oh, Renako is so great. Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. Okay. Let me see. I should probably make this a little bigger. And let's see. Right. What else do we get? I don't know if this is like the best way to do this. I just want to like write everything down before I start actually working on this. Or most of the stuff, at least the core gameplay stuff. I have a sort of working gameplay loop here. Some random ideas and the whole setting here. And my guidelines for the game. This is a very ad hoc. I don't know. Game dev plus latex, absolute gaming. Yeah. Anything shiny makes my brain activate. It's true. You keep picturing the game in your head at this point, Artie? Good combination. Ooh. Me too. I kinda picture it already. But the art style and everything is like fluctuating a lot, you know. Latex Knight though. I mean, hear me out. He does go into the whatchamacallit. He does go into the future, so to a cyberpunk era / synth, which is riddled with shiny stuff. You do game jam, or you want to exploit your idea? I was thinking of a game jam, but it's probably just gonna be like, well, what's the definition of a game jam? I'm just kind of like doing it, you know? No, just like, because I want to see if I can do it, I guess. That's my goal here. This isn't probably gonna be something I release for a price. If I manage to finish this, I'll just put it out there for free, you know? It's just to test myself, you know? That's basically it. Maybe people can appreciate something I made. If I ever can finish this, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Yeah, a project to work on. Exactly. Let me peek here. There's my character, and that's the enemy. Okay, so those would be the melee ones. I guess I could be like, let's think on the range ones. Right, that might look a little weird on your CV. I agree on that. Okay. So, if we briefly touch on the subject of ranged, I'm thinking, well, this is just like the base idea, but I'm thinking you can only have one range weapon. So it's whatever you. This would imply that you can change it though. But let's assume you only have one range gun / bow. And it would basically be like wherever you point. Or if you're using twin stick, it would be like whichever axis you're like pointing to. That's where you would shoot it. And I guess there could be different types maybe later, but maybe I should like decide it here. Let's say there's like a couple of different ones. 2 or 3. So you can have different types of like a shotgun could be like a wider burst, right? That was horrible. Sorry. But then it would like trail off and deal less damage the further it goes, right? You know, like, while I guess like more traditional weapon would go like pretty straight. We'll have to think on that. But that would basically just be like wherever you aim. That's the direction it shoots it to. Will you make a couple NPCs? I kind of want to do that, yeah. I want to have some kind of NPC doing like the upgrades for you and all that. God Lady NPC? A god lady. Twin sticks is great if the cursor needs to rotate around the player. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I'm just gonna take your input, the X, Y, and just this is gonna be a 2.5D, so I can just translate that to the was it X and Z, right, in Unity? That's kind of horrible, actually. So like that, and ignore the Y here. Kind of weird perspective, but whatever. Yeah. Rotation look at. Ooh. Also, yeah, I don't know why that. Insert that. Wait, I'm trying to think if is that part of the cheap viewers at. No, it's not that, because I have that term blocked. Anyway. Yeah, I think I could do. I can just take the cursor precision and then use that. That should work for that. Okay, let me write that in. So for the it's not much, but I'll just say gun shoots. Let's just say like twin stick style. I'll remember from that. So let me take a sip of water quick. Okay. Okay, so that's going to be the range. Would the range have special moves? Like, maybe. Like dash in. No, I think that's still the same thing. I'm a little bit interested in a feature that you could do like a dash reload. But I keep thinking, like, should that be a thing? Because this could be a modifier too. Reloading while dashing. Ooh. I know it's just the word order, but they kind of like in my brain, I see them as different things. Now, like, whenever you perform a dash, you are reloading your. Instead of it being like a specific dash reload. Reloading while dashing. Hey Ketchup, how's it going? It's the Kumi of Kizu. Dash me. I was thinking reloading, but ooh, that's what you meant. Okay, so actually, yeah, we need reloading to begin with. Right. So we need reloading. But that can be now that can be a modifier. So you can just dash while you do that. Right. Nice. Welcome, Linux. Welcome to the Discord. There's somewhere buried there is some shiny stuff too, possibly. Dash while mid reload and whatnot. Right. You're good, just a little sleepy. Aw. I hope you can get some good rest. There's dice too, indeed. Are you still learning how to draw latex stuff? I think the couple of shiny pictures you've done were like amazing. And I can't wait to see what you can cook up next. I think you got a talent for it. It's a niche category, sorta, so you would make a killing with that. I think, personally. So we have reloading. I kind of want to do this and split them. Oh, that's how I do it. Okay. Let me put dashes here so we can separate. This would be gun. Twin stick style reloading. And then finally... What the? Do I just go one extra space? And type magic. There you go. Magic. This is an interesting one because for mouse and keyboard, let's switch to. I guess I could like color coded these better. There you go. Magic arm. And then this A is gonna be bam. One more pixel, come on. Latex is also magics. I shoot corrupted goo at enemy. Wait, what was I thinking? So right. So if you have your mouse here, right? This is gonna be the mouse target. That's too big. Let's just make a little plus here. Let's just make a little line here. It's your mouse right there. You're hovering over there. Now, if you push any like button on your keyboard, you could cast a specific spell here. Keyboard mouse, it's easy. Let's say like you want to cast like some kind of like circle spell that like freezes the ground, or like let's say like it spawns spikes from this area. That's easy for keyboard and mouse. But for controller, to reach that point, just without not just using the twin stick like radius, I would have to implement a way where you activate it and now your twin, like you can move your character with your left stick, but your target reticle you would move with your right stick, so you can like, you know, like hold some button down like a magic button and move where you want to take it, and then when you let go, bam, that's where the spell is going to be cast, or something like that. Let's see. I think that's my idea. Are we making this sprites? Not yet. This is just me doing like concept doodling, you know, like picture, like visualizing the plan, sort of, so to speak. Also, hi Mike, how's it going? Here's the notes. I'm taking notes. There's like a whole bunch of stuff here. Does that me make the achievements? Are they gonna be difficult achievements? Mal will take 30% and release a latex steam frame as a hypnovisor. I mean, now I just want it even more. Not insanely, but still hopefully a challenge. Right, like actual achievements. Right. Magic casts at target reticle. And then let's see. Can I hold on, can I And I probably just have to continue here with the brackets. I could be like, magic casts a target reticle, and I could type controller. How do I type this? R stick moves reticle. Yeah, that works. That works. 2-2. Oh, same Linux. I'm gonna get that frame specifically. I sadly probably can't afford all of them. I will most likely only be able to afford the frame, but that's fine. That's the one I want the most, followed by the controller and then the machine. Although I also really want the controller because it uses the magnetic type thumbsticks. Yeah. Get the frame and machine easier because I'm a GameDev. You can probably get the dev kits, right? Probably, right? Dev kits, or even the, like, I wonder if you just buy that as a developer, can you like get some kind of like dealio off of that or something? I don't know. I don't know how that works. I guess I could type in like, I don't know how many, but different magics. Let's limit it at first. Also, let's type it here. Different guns. Let's call them guns. Even bow is a gun, right? Basically. Now here's the interesting part. How would magic work? Can you just spam them? My idea is you have a... So our dash doesn't use stamina. It says cooldown. So we don't need a stamina system to this. But we could have a mana system that like recharges super fast. And that's basically your stamina, but it says mana. I'm thinking that could be the limiting factor for these. So you can't just spam these. Although they could also work with cooldown. But I feel like if they work with cooldown, you're gonna just spam them. But then again, you're gonna spam them anyway with the... Let's see. Let's type limitation. CD dash mana. Or CD dash cost, maybe. Yeah, let's do that. This isn't gonna be towards the end of the game, depending on how you like set up. I think that's not gonna be... That's not even gonna be an issue, I think. Isn't something confidential in Discord? Okay. I'll take a look after stream. But no worries, I will keep that confidential. I always do. Wonder if there's any other... I think that's fine, that's fine. I just need those different ways. Let's see, is that everything? I guess for basic movement, I could... This isn't like really movement, but I can just be like interact. Because we need some kind of interact feature. Professional and LaTeX stuff. Okay. Let me try to picture this. We got movement. You can dash. Interact is like opening stuff. You can do your swing, cap closer, possibly other types of attacks too. You can use your... What is my like defensive means here? You have a dash burst. I suppose giving it a tiny, let's test. This needs like testing, but let's type iframes. Perhaps. What kind of magics do you want? Target spells, AoE spells, protective spells. Currently, I think I was thinking target spells mostly, or like they can be AoE as well, because it's based off of your reticle. So you could summon like a firewall here. If your mouse is here, you could, or mouse / controller reticle is here, you could summon a firewall. But I suppose some magics could just be cast on you. And I keep wondering if it depends how the controller would start. I'm guessing on a controller, if you spawn the reticle, the targeting reticle, or ready up casting, I guess, it would spawn on you, and you could easily just immediately let go and it would spawn it on you. But on keyboard and mouse, you could just hold a button down, say like Alt, and then it like just focuses on it on you. But do we need that, like self-targeted spells? Buffs could work too, but I guess those would be like automatically self-targeted if there are buffs. I'm thinking it's mostly gonna be like attack spells. Welcome back, Artie. You got Cheetos? You can spread Cheeto dust on your desk. You can leave Cheetos fingerprints. Game design is cool. I'm mostly into game engine programming, and I'm also a graphics engineer. I've worked on 2 major game studios, but now I'm fully indie and enjoying my own game studio. Oh my god, that's so cool. That's so sweet. I'm a professional goober, so I dabble a little bit on everything, but have not mastered anything. But I enjoy learning, you know. I enjoy learning. You had thoughts for Matic. Free firing spells, but keeping your cursor locked onto the enemy for a homing spell. Free firing spells, but keeping your cursor locked. Are you talking about like if I have my mouse here, right? This is like mouse position 1. That's not a good one. Hold on. There you go. That's 1. I have my mouse point here. And then a fireball would spawn. It would go towards that. But if I move my mouse now here, the trajectory would be kind of like that. Is that what you're talking about? Like it tries to home to where you're aiming. Hi, Andrake. How's it going? Welcome, welcome. AAA industry collapse and being indie is now so awesome for expressing my technical and artistic creativity. I feel like that's the case for a lot of people now. I really like indie games a lot, though. Not quite the second one. Okay, what did you mean? Maybe something like holding the magic button to charge a spell? Let me see. Let me reread your first one. Free firing spells, but keeping your cursor locked onto the enemy for a homing spell. So like... Hold on. My brain. Just trying to wrap around this. But you said homing specifically. Are you talking about like you keep your mouse cursor here and you start charging it and then it kind of like locks into it so like you don't have to target it anymore? Oh, okay. I see. That's what you meant. Compared to Renako, I'm not from Quebec. I'm French, so it is soon 1 a.m. Same. I'm from Finland, so it's 2 a.m. almost. So I totally feel you. Yeah. Late 6 go to sleep. I get it. Also, I hope you get some wonderful sleep tonight. It was really fun meeting you, Linux. Also, thank you for I really appreciate the follow. I have to give you a shout out because I think some of the real heroes of like Twitch are the people who follow people even if they're offline, and I really appreciate that. I think that needs more recognition. Thank you. Hold on, did I miss right, okay, so that was the idea. Right. Thank you, Lex. Appreciate it. Have a good night. So okay, Artie, what I'm getting from you is you kind of mean like a lock-on spell. Like for example, say you have like a magic missile barrage or something, and you would like say there's like multiple enemies there, right? Let's draw a couple more like that, and then your magic, like if you move your cursor like this, I guess it would just go like ding ding ding, and then once you release your spell, it would just go. That's what I'm getting. Kind of like like a Panzer Dragoon, or like I don't know what other games have that, but like when you like Gummy Ship from Kingdom Hearts, when you can like lock on to multiple enemies and then just shoot all of them, kind of like a lock on. Would that be too? I guess I don't have to worry about balance now at all, because that's a later thing. Different magics. Yeah, let's go like lock on spells. I guess there could also be let's call this a homing spells. Hold on, my playlist is ended. There you go. Let's type multi-target. Maybe that needs a dash. Homing spells. Follow. What do you follow? You follow either target or reticle. Yeah, I like that. Oh, another game that did that actually is Armored Core, right? Multi-lock target, shoot your missiles. Would be cool to make Magic do different types of charge lock-ons. Different types? Do you have an example of that? Also, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we need to do. What about the defensive options? I did type iframes here to dash burst. That could be a defensive one. Hi, Phobos. Be making Kumi sexy fun time adventure game. Yes. And it's called Cyber Knight. Wait, I'll do a Kojima thing. Working title. Working title. Yeah. Basically the idea is you play as a fantasy knight who gets sent to the cyberpunk synth future to get geared up. Then he comes back, or maybe fights his way back, and he uses all kind of like upgraded shit, like laser blades and shit, to defeat their dungeon enemies. And here's the loop. You choose a level, defeat enemies to gain currency, reach and defeat the gauntlet. That's the final event. Could be boss or like a big fight. You use that currency to unlock stuff, repeat. Bam. And now we're just doing the knight mechanics here. Ooh, for this one we could also do charge attack. Kind of like a EI strike or something. Yeah, how are you doing, Phobos? I like the idea of a knight in the future fighting his way back to the weird world he's unfamiliar. In a weird world he's unfamiliar with, to get back to the past to slap some warlock knots. I kind of like that you're supposed to get back. I'm also good. I was a little terrified of how this would turn out. And it actually turned out pretty well. I was a little nervous about this whole stream. Exposing my developing nuts. Do you have any art thought out yet? No. Only this in the background, which is just concept art, so I can like visualize it. You know, like I was picturing like how your wings would work like that. You have a gap closer. How like you would read the twin stick input like that for direction. That looks like a bow though. But anyway. Most likely it's gonna be like a 3D world, because I like doing 3D stuff. I enjoy 3D modeling a lot, so it's gonna use some Blender, but probably if I can, maybe some like pixel art texture still. So 3D environment with pixel art textures, and the character sprite are gonna be 2D flat sprites, but they're gonna have like a shadow underneath them or something, some kind of indicator so you can see where they're going. But yeah. Yeah, art would come in later. I want to get the concepts down first. Yeah, I'm gonna use pixel filter. That could also work. Molested by kittens. Oh no. Your Discord kittens, Phobos? Uh-oh. How many Discord kittens do you have? Anyway. I like this. What else do we need here? We have movement, dash burst, iframes. Do we need another type of, I guess, movement? I mean, that movement in itself is a way to avoid certain, like, what's the word? Tail, like if attacks have tails, then indicators, basically, like area of indicators. Then you could just move out of them, I guess. I'll type this here because I don't know if it's gonna be here, but I'll type parry ? I'll put it in brackets. I'm a sucker for like reactive type gameplay, so maybe that could be a thing, but I'm not sure yet. We'll see. Movement, sexy. There's a lot of stuff already down. Yeah, it has to be rewarding. That's the thing. We have to see how that could work. I mean, even if there's like something like where you could swing back or deflect like an enemy's like an arrow, for example, I don't think I should write it here because it's still an attack that just deflects the arrow itself. So it doesn't have to be a knight mechanic. But these are basically what your controls can do. I would probably, okay, quick idea about the art. I would probably keep it very simple. This is a mock-up. No, he needs a bigger helmet with horns. Whee! He would basically only face that way or reverse. So he would be like facing that way, I think. I'm not gonna, at least for a lot of the beginning part, the sprites are gonna be a lot like beat 'em up sprites where they're only like front facing left or right. That's gonna be like the base of it because you can't turn your camera or nothing. That's just like the, yeah. Idea, you can deflect and reflect stuff, but certain color code. For example, blue projectiles can reflect red projectiles, dodge. Ooh, I do like the tails on that. Let's make a new category. Call this let's make enemy mechanics. Yeah, let's just do that. Different tails on attacks. How to counter them. There's going to be multiple ways of countering them, like moving, if you can outreach, like outreach them. Is that no? If you move outwalk them, if you run out of their range, then that, you know, works for most of them anyway. Front, back, side. For the sprites? No. Beating attacks and such. Yeah, so there's not going to be a back one. It's just going to be... It's just going to be the two front ones. Left, right for front. I don't know if I'll see. Because like I feel like it might even not need a, you know, like a facing away from the camera angle. It might not even need that. I know there are games that just do the left right sprite. Although I could always add that later if I need to. Now, the only issue with this is the, should I say, the twin stick portion. That's when the player uses the twin stick, but if their like character model only goes left, right, I might need some kind of like indicator. Maybe like a little like reticle like this with like some kind of like indicator that, hey, you're aiming this way, you know? Yeah, something like that. And there's the gungeon is also left and right. Ooh, okay, okay. Gotcha. Do maybe a triangle pointing at that spot plus reticle. You mean kind of like that? Wait, reticle. That's not a reticle. That's a circle. Wait, triangle pointing at that spot plus reticle. That? Wait. Triangle pointing at the direction where the cursor is positioned. So like if your analog stick is like facing that away, right? Then there would be like this. Right? I think. Smaller arrow. Okay. Maybe a little bigger. Like that. Point all the way there. I get what you mean. I get you. I got you. I got you. I'm thinking that would be like the default indicator. Like if you're aiming your analog stick somewhere, this would like just rotate around you and show you where it's pointing. But once you like, once you enable the reticle mode for magic, for example, or maybe also range, I don't know. But once you enable that, that thingy is probably gonna either still be there or get removed and be replaced by the targeting icon, whatever that is. And this is either going to be gone, or that's going to just point at the target reticle that you can move wherever you want, like for here, example. Here, for example. Okay, so let me see. They have different tells. It's just like a point, but I could also like... Hold on. What was one of the ideas you sent earlier? Or no, it was just the tells, right? Now, what about the enemies? They would like need some sort of AI, but I think I'm thinking, are they simple enough so I don't need like a state machine? I could just make like a single. I guess I could need some sort of a state machine, but it could be like a really easy because they're basically what are they doing? Let's think. Let's say, let's do another one here. They have like state. Or can I do like, yeah, let's do it like that. States, they would have idle/roaming. This is when they don't know you're there, so they're just like idling or roaming. I think they're just gonna like I was thinking like maybe they're like guarding, but that doesn't matter too much. Or does it? They kind of need specific behavior. Let's add all of them there, because some enemies might just be like standing still until you go there, and then, you know. Anyway, whatever. That's one of them. Then one of the states would be they've spotted you. There's no stealth or anything in this game. So if they see you, they're gonna be walking towards you. They're already engaged in combat, so let me see, how would I do this? I recently saw a video where basically some beat 'em ups, they have multiple different spots around the player where the enemies can land, so they can't like all group up into a single, you know, like kind of like so that they spread out a little bit. But I guess I could like even break that down into like tinier groups. But that's not the is it a problem in this game if enemies group up super close? Maybe. You could just multi-hit everybody. So they would find available free spots around you. Let's call this the move in. That's a horrible name though. Walk to player. Yeah, that works for now. Walk to player, then I mean, not all of them walk to player. Walk to position, and then attack. You do like different AI where some would try to hit you from the back instead of like a horde just going for your location. Yeah, I want to do something like that. Thank you, Andrick. Appreciate your comment. We're just trying to be silly and, you know, have a good time here. Have a good time, good time. Attack. I think walk to position is just whatever position they're gonna walk to. And then they're gonna decide to attack. But then I get maybe okay. I guess there's no like one true way of doing this, so I can just do whatever. But I want to add like how would I type this? Consideration. No. Planning. This is the state where the enemy plans its next move. So it's not just, you know, like constant walking towards you all times. This is where they might like stop and rethink what they're doing. And I guess different enemies could use that in different ways. The AI will think. Oh, thank you, Andrick. The AI will think for us, or for itself. I guess different enemies would do different things. I could have an enemy that buffs other enemies. Or shields them. Makes them take less damage. I should type those in though. Maybe an enemy that spawns smaller enemies. Spawner enemy. Spawner. Wait, what happened there? Spawns enemies. Spawns smaller enemies. And then we have a big boy enemy. We do need a big boy. Big boy. Now the big boy, he big. He big. Let me see. I had another in mind. That was the spawner enemy, but then I already forgot what the first one was. Oh, thank you for the glasses. Now I can see. What about... What should we call it, a lurker? That's the type of enemy that tries to hang out in the back. Usually maybe like a ranged, or should we call it opportunist? If it's like something that would like go for like your back, or planner. Let's call lurker a flanker. That's a good, yeah. Flanker. Goes for the back. That's one mechanic type. Yeah. Let's just call these enemy types archers. Stay back and use ranged. Bam. Flankers, archers, big boy spawners. I'm thinking like shielded like enemies, but does that really matter? Like, is all of these, like, depending on the enemy type, could have shields? Oh, I was thinking of like, wait, a buffing enemy? No, like a shield. What would I call a shield there? Support. Shields buffs other enemies. I like that all of these are the same length. Somehow. Ooh, a tank style. Would that be a big boy? Would tank be a big boy? Or is big boy just like the medium-sized enemies? Okay, he big. He tank. Tank can be slim and cute femboy. That's true. maybe it's a big tank, like an actual tank or some kind of vehicle, but it's driven by this like little femboy. Once the tank gets destroyed, his sprite is just like his butt peeking out the, like you can see his legs and butts is coming out from the top, you know, like defeated. You know, like anime cartoon comedic style. But he got a big butt. I must play this game. I think that's a good one, probably. Even like if there's like enemies that throw like explosives and stuff, that would still be archer type. Support type is pretty flanker, big boy. I think that's almost all of the types. We're missing like the small enemies too, but I don't think I have to write that down. Kumi boss fight? That could be interesting. We shall see. I guess the final one I would have, it says turrets. These are stationary ranged. Interesting question. Stationary ranged. I was gonna say towers. What do you guys think? Should this game have buildings? For example, what if you, or vehicles, like if you destroy a vehicle or a tower or some kind of building, would the enemies inside it come out and then you'd have to defeat those as well? Like if you defeat the tank, then the femboy jumps out. I don't know. You'd make something like that? Let's call those containers. That's too long. How can I make it fit that character length of 7? Cars. Vehicle. Building for let's say container for enemies. Now I could technically buildings would be vehicles as well, probably. Could I just type building? Is that enough? Building. Anyway, that works. Little gobbo gars. That would be kind of cute. Little like Freddy Flintstone cars driven by gobbos. Oh, like the colors would do something else. Oh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, that could be like a different type of vehicles do something different. I like that now we have actual tanks here in this Fantasy Night game. Goblin femboys? Maybe. I'll have to see how detailed I'm gonna go with the art. I'll see. Like an alternative type. Right. Sorry, that's a question mark still. I think that's pretty much it. So let's see, the enemies need idle roaming guarding, planning, walk to position. Maybe it's just be like position self, attack. We need a separate attack state, and this would be like if they have any like special or secondary. What do you call those usually? Alt fire or ability. Something like that. The Streets of Rage games, the ones I've played, do that to where they reuse sprites, but different colors have more help and stuff. I forgot what game also did that I remember playing, but I kind of like that idea. Well, Kingdom Hearts sort of, but the models also change a little bit. They kind of like reuse the enemies, but they do look a little different too, not just the color. So we have position self for everybody. Archers stay back. That's the planning phase, where they think of where to position themselves. I suppose we should do a dying state. If they play like an animation or something, and then whenever they like vanish from the screen, and then the whole character gets removed. Planning guarding. Well. I think we have everything we need. Does anybody have any random ideas for this game? Our healing is also solved here, sort of. It's the cooking of enemies. I'm not 100% sure how that works yet, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how that works. Yeah, we know there's a healing mechanism, and it's gonna be related to this somehow. I think that's let's go move and mechanic modifying items. A little more descriptive. Oh yeah, we do need to. I wonder if I should touch upon that so they don't get cluttered. Let's separate these. So we have the types here and states here. Could I just make that bold so it... Yeah, that works. We have type states, and this would be like... multiple spots around the player for the enemy to move to. And also let me think. move. Wait, I'm trying to think. So I want to make it so that if the enemy is like trying to target this green spot is like where they want to go, there would be like multiple spots around me. Like for example, this big brain, like kind of like this, for example. Yeah. So say they want to like target this one here. Is that? Wait, this one here. I want to target that one. I'll turn it that way. They wouldn't just directly walk there, but rather I would have a perhaps I saw in one video they were doing like an orbiting thing. So there's like this thingy that orbits the player like this. And that would like affect how they walk there, you know? So it's instead of this, I would create sort of like yeah. I wish I could remember better how they did that, but it's some sort of like an orbiting system they used. I wonder how could I do that? If the spot is always the same. Let's see. If this is orbiting like here, would it mean that the enemy would try to like walk up to this and then there? But I think it was like a position cursor would orbit around you and the enemy would track that and go in that space. Oh, so like instead of picking a specific spot like this, it's just picking an orbiting spot and it's trying to go to that. So like if this is over here, then the enemy would try to go there. Of course, this is moving every frame, so it would like, depending how the calculations for this happens. But, you know, like, let's assume we're using the most heaviest form of calculating the position every frame, which I don't think we should do, but for example, it would actually start looking like that, you know, like kind of like that in a way. But it depends how many times you want to calculate it. The less you calculate, more jagged the line, of course. Like if you calculate it there, like here, here, and there, and you're gonna get something like that as your movement. But I think you can also like interpolate that, or is that the right word? Interpolate. So you can like, instead of having like an angle like this, you know where you are, you know where you want to go. I mean, you would need to know the two next positions, but anyway. I think there's a way you can like sort of like smooth that out. That's usually, if I recall, that's what's called interpolation. But there are ways to do that, so it kind of like smooths it out more. But let me type that down so I don't remember. Some kind of like multiple spots around the player for the enemy to move to. To affected by an orbiting point around the player. There's two around the players now. Multiple spots around the player for the enemy to move to affected by an orbiting point. Yes. Yes. They probably have multiple attacks, but the attack state should define that. they probably have a list of attacks they can perform. There's going to be some kind of logic on which attack they're going to perform. Unless it's the planning step that determines which they're going to do. I have to mess around with the timings and all that to see how the game performs. But that's going to be a little further down the line. Of course, you should worry about performance a little bit even when you start working, but I think that you shouldn't worry too much about it. Yeah, you just need to keep that in your mind. Yeah. Health check, thank you. We'll do that. Did you eat today, Kumi? I did. Let me get rid of my old pillow there. I ate is it called a cheese roll? Cheese bun. I sliced that open. I put some like little bit of, what are they called, spread on it, and then 2 chicken slices and some extra cheese. Because we Finns really like our dairy products. I wanted to put some like salad leaves too, but I actually forgot to buy that. I forgot to buy something else too. But now I've forgotten what I forgot to buy. I woke up kind of like... I woke up this morning and I was super out of it, so... I kind of like... half brain through this, grocery store buying all my stuff. Oh well. I'll go again tomorrow, maybe.
Oh my lord, it wasn't pizza! Holy moly guacamole, spread me on a cracker and call me breakfast.
It's not, although I did buy 2 pizzas. Frozen pizzas. And one of them is a pizza type I haven't tried that yet, so I'm interested in seeing how that is, because I like testing the frozen pizzas, trying to find the ultimate frozen pizza. One of them I haven't tested yet, but the other one I ate once and I remember really liking it. It's like one of the top contenders so far, and I want to see if that like holds for a second one. Pizza review hand cam stream. I'll do a mukbang video wearing a full latex, like a hood, a mask. You just see a game going. No, maybe not. Maybe not that. I'll wear my silly Halloween cat mask and just stuff the pizza inside it. That works. Put a purple wig on it. Call it a day. Easy. Easy. Okay. I think this is as good as I can make it now. Really, all that's left to do is just start, I guess, coding it. Some people like doing pseudo coding and stuff, but I'm a rebel. I go straight in. I don't do any planning. I plan on the fly. I work well under pressure, as you have seen many times on my streams. except whenever someone rates me and I'm like, But yeah. This works. Is pseudocoding like Java is flat and the world is lying to us? No. Close. Close. From my understanding, pseudocoding is where you like fake code all the functionality so you can just implement it. That's what I understood from it. Although I've watched many videos on it and I only understood half of them. So, you know. That's what I think it is though, like creating like the empty functions and stuff, and you know, like what they would do like with just generic comments maybe. Although I think there's various ways of doing that. Some people just did like easy comments on like this function will do that. But some people like literally type in like the variables and stuff. So, you know, there's many ways you can do that, I guess. There's also the whole like, you could draw the flowcharts of these, which I'm not a huge fan of. My brain has trouble following flowcharts. Does this do this? No, yes. What about this? Yes, no. And then there's a third option, maybe. What do you mean, maybe? Return to point 1 and collect $200. Yeah. I think we're about done here. Let's give it a little doggo nose. And a smile. Did code work? No. Try again. Really? Big smile. He has a squid body. That's scary. It has 4 eyes like a spider. And these are 2 bunois. Try my big butt. Badonk-a-donk. Know what I'm saying? Like that. They look like flies. Whoops. Badonk-a-donk. Mitch a juicy, know what I'm saying? Ooh. Does this, if you just see this, you just know. Mitch a juicy. Know what I'm saying? This just screams my game, right? Arm. Attack. Range. Magic. Or the talking. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Bum, 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 bum. I would say concept stage complete. Concept stage complete. I suppose in Unity I should just make everything like You know, like if this is like approximately one tile, then the wall, like maybe the characters would be like, your character would be like this. Or maybe it would be like 2 tiles. Maybe this 1 tile. So your character would be like this. And the walls could be like 2 tall. That way I could have like texture wise, I could have like the base texture here and then the top part for walls. You know, like kind of like this, kind of like. I'm guessing the game would like, because it's a top-down view. I'm guessing these would just like end up here, and they would have like texture here too. So the camera can like kind of like see all that. Possibly. I'm thinking you can't turn your camera, like you can't like rotate your camera. So it's gonna be like, for example, if this is like a easy mock-up of it, and here's your character. It's just gonna be this. If you move this way, then the entire thingy is just gonna like pan and move. But you can never like tilt your camera like that way or pivot it, you know, like on like this axis. Impossible. No, that would make it like that, yeah. Anyway. Always ready, man. Yeah. But yeah, this is my concept. This is what I drew when I started. I don't know what this is. There you go. This makes perfect sense. Now we know. I suppose we could make some kind of like... Let me think. Well, we don't really need to make any like placeholder art, I suppose. Also, I wonder if your player is like this, right? Like, that's your player. He's like a flat, right? So he does have that like shadow, but he's flat. I wonder if for attacks, I could do either like have it incorporated on this, but I guess that would make it difficult if my character is like facing that way. Oops. And he does a swing. Would the swing just be like that? Or would it be like he does his like swing animation? Swing, but like that's the animation, but would the hit effect appear wherever your like mouse is pointing? Or like it would be like shling shling there. Ding ding. Another option is, what if I draw the weapon separate? And it's like the weapon gets always drawn like at this character height. And that would be, it would still be flat, but it wouldn't be like facing this way flat, like, or towards us. So I'll, you know, like, it would be facing flat this way. So the sword would be kind of like laying flat like that. You know what I'm saying? This is facing the camera. This is facing on the floor. No. The ceiling. CC. No. The roof. The top. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, this would just be like... I mean, I guess... Yeah. If it's like facing downward, then I can just like rotate it from this angle basically. Swing. I could even do like a whole hurricane spin attack or something. I guess that could work. I like getting really technical with these. I was planning not too similar to this. I was planning the other VR thingy me and my brother are working on, trying to figure out like character collisions and what you can do and stuff. And it was kind of fun doing it this way. Like we're just like spend like an hour trying to figure out some stuff. Just theory crafting. What happens if you do this? What about this? What about this? It was really fun. Yeah, it's like a puzzle. Exactly. Anyway, our plan. And that's the mock-up up here. Start level, swing sword, get loot, awoo, 5, 6, 7, 0, 9. Die and lose everything, repeat. I can get that out. Bam. Top down, 2.5D. Perfect. Perfect. I think with this, we might start wrapping up today, actually. This was a lot of fun for me, at least. I hope it was at least interesting to watch. This is kind of the interesting phase where you don't have limitations too much other than your imagination. And that is until you dig deeper and start actually thinking about stuff. That's when you might get like tangled up in some of these, like, wait, brain, no, that doesn't work. You know? But yeah, I think coming up with game concepts is really fun, and then it's just about like executing it, which we're gonna see how that works. I don't know which day yet. So this week I set up Wednesday here as the let's try to make a game series that I kind of started. And I think, yeah, tomorrow I'll be busy. So there's no community hangout, unfortunately. But then Friday I put down as Stationeers. Now, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm beyond elated to be able to finally play that. I've been putting it off from stream for a long time because I was like waiting for a perfect opportunity. Yeah, I've talked about it so many times. But basically the game is like hardcore survival game set in space. It's hardcore because it's like also a simulation game, so you have to like manage you're in space, so you have to manage gases, different types of gases in the atmosphere. You only breathe certain types of air composition. You have to use pipes, automation, cables. You can do like coding in that to automate your like whatever you want to do. Mining ore, smelting, trading with spaceships, what have you. It's like a whole thing. One time I blew my entire base because I filled it with pure oxygen, and then a spark happened. A spark. Oxygen is flammable. But what I should have done is, I think, fill it up with mostly nitrogen, and then only like, is it like 20% oxygen? I don't know how the Earth is, but you know, basically that reduces the flammability or auto combustion. Or spark ignition, is that it? I don't know. Anyway, sorry. that's for Friday. And then Saturday I set up as a question mark stream because I haven't decided yet what I want to do. I could either continue this, I could continue Stationers, or I could continue Project Zomboid. I haven't decided yet. We'll figure that out. You're gonna know at least on Friday. Or at least on Saturday. Don't tell me the playlist ended again. Yep. Let's go back here for a bit. Anyway, with that being said, let's go back to just chatting. I better save this actually, hold on. Actually, the nice thing about this program, the Calmly Writer that I'm using, Calmly Writer, is I think it auto saves everything. So even if you forgot to save your file and reboot your PC, it's gonna be there. Calmly Writer, exactly. Thank you for typing it out, RD. This is how I actually may have read the entire Hobbit. Mayhaps. I will still save this though. Save as let me increase the music just a little tiny bit because it's not supposed to be background sound anymore. Let me Cyber Knight working title. Is that the note-taking thing I used has note limit and has monthly something? I think that's we used the same one, right, already? It was Evernote. And that was one of the best note-taking apps I've used. And then they decided to go full like monthly limit subscription model, and I was sad. I was really sad. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay, so next time whenever I do this, I have to download. What's the one thing I need? I need Visual Studio. I like using that. So I need a Visual Studio so I can do coding on that. Unless this auto installed it. I should probably check that. But yeah, I'll do that off stream. How about that? How about that? Well, I forgot to switch my monitor. Everything froze. Hold on. Bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum. My God, it's hot in my room. It's cold outside, but my batteries are going crazy. What the hell? Pero. I like your emotes. They're really funny, Artie. Okay, we shall wrap up here. And we'll be back Friday. Oh, eyelash. Okay. Thank you all so much for watching. Oh, you were trying to bat the... Okay, I see. You were trying to bat the tom off of my batting eyelash. He's now cheesed. Anyway. I lost the track of the train of my thought of the train. We're gonna wrap up here. Thank you all so much for joining. I'll wrap up before the ad break starts. Oh, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the week, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good fun. Thank you for this edition catch up. I shall check that out. Okay, bye everybody. Take care. Let's escape the ads. Thanks for watching.